There is plenty more to crack on with. There's certainly no time for me to twiddle my thumbs. First, I want to weld up this hole. Pigeons spring to mind. If you're easily offended, please look away now. In the last video that I made round here at the garage, I hacked off Heidi's standard rear wheel arches and did a really ghetto job of tubbing the rear end, but then failed to fit my ridiculously cheap plastic wheel arches. We've got a split there, and I ended up with a kink around here, which I wasn't able to solve by cutting some of the lip out. I think I've got a solution for the rear arches, but I'm not going to know until I've received something through the post that I ordered the other day. In the meantime, there is plenty more to crack on with on this project, so there's certainly no time for me to twiddle my thumbs. If you're a regular viewer of my content, click the like button now because it's a massive help. If you're new to the channel, click subscribe now and welcome. I'm Marcus Hayes, and today it's time to make some more progress on Project Heidi. Now, since the last time you saw this thing on the channel, I have been cracking on with some more boring filler work. I think I've now got the front panel as straight as I'm going to get it. It might need some more filler work at the edges when I go to sort of finally get the wings to fit properly, but yeah, it's definitely pretty much there. I've also ended up doing a load more work on this rear quarter panel. I thought that the skim I put in this before was going to be the last one, but alas, they always need more skims of filler than you think. So that skim got sanded down. I threw in another skim today, and I've just initially sanded it down with the DA sander. And yeah, fingers crossed that will be the last skim of filler in this rear quarter panel. Who knows? Round the other side, I've put another skim in as well, which again I hope is going to be the last one, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. In other news, I've been slowly listing some of my spares that I don't need now on eBay, and I've been posting the item numbers on my social media. So yeah, if you're looking for any Mk2 Escort bits, follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and yeah, you'll be able to see those posts and you'll get the item numbers so that you can find those parts easily. I've had loads of people getting in touch asking how much certain parts are. I'm useless at pricing things, and I need to get as much funds in as I can so that I can actually finish this build. So I'm going to let all the auctions run for the parts that I am putting on eBay. Also, in other news, my company Petrolhead Style is very soon going to be releasing the Pinto Power and Pushrod Power collections of clothing and other cool products with designs inspired by those really cool old school engines. It's been a bit delayed. We're just trying to get the colours and stuff on the designs perfect before we order the bits in. But if you subscribe to the mailing list at petrolheadstyle.com, you'll be notified when all new collections go live. You'll also be entered into our competitions for free products that we run every month, and you'll be able to benefit from exclusive discount codes that we send to our mailing list subscribers. So head over to petrolheadstyle.com and jump on that mailing list. Anyway, time to crack on with Heidi, and I think I'm going to start by trying to weld up this little hole that I discovered when I was doing this sort of rear tubbing. I'm also going to be throwing a bit more sealer in some of these areas where there's, you know, you can see the slits are still there. Definitely want to make all this fully watertight, and I'm probably going to be putting some of the Kent Europe rubber guard over this area where the sealer is. I'm not going to bother, you know, stripping all the old under seal off and repainting in here, but yeah, these areas that I have already tampered with, I'm going to put the rubber guard on there. But as I say, first I want to weld up this hole. First things first, I cleaned up the area with a flap wheel and a wire brush on the drill. Next, I made up a cardboard template and transferred that onto metal and cut it out, and then I cleaned up the plate, put a bend in it where it was necessary, and then drilled some holes in it because I was going to MIG plug it in a few places. Next, I grabbed the weld-through primer from my friends at BODICRAFT in Watford and coated the inside of the plate and also around the hole on the car. Once the primer was dry, it was time to clamp the plate in position and start welding. After I got the first couple of welds on, I could remove the clamp, and then I used a hammer to tap the plate more flush with the carb before each tack. The end result was an absolute eyesore. Pigeons spring to mind. I attacked the job with my angle grinder and a wire brush on a drill, which made things look a little bit better. Then I slapped on some epoxy primer and some seam sealer from my friends at Kent Europe. I smeared the sealer with my fingers to make it look a bit more tidy, and then I added some where I needed it elsewhere on the inner arches. Whilst I was waiting for the sealer to dry, I sanded down the passenger side rear quarter panel, which was going to need another skim, but when the sealer was dry, I whacked on some epoxy primer, and while that was drying, I put another skim of filler on the passenger side rear quarter panel. After chucking some masking tape about, I grabbed the Kent Europe rubber guard and gave both inner arches a couple of coats. My welding job was looking a whole lot better hidden behind the rubber guard, and the inner arches will now be protected for years to come. Alright, into a new day, and I've just got a notification to say that my solution for the rear arches has just been delivered. So in the next video, fingers crossed, that'll work out how I'm hoping. But now that the products have dried on these inner arches, we can have a look, and yeah, it's looking really good. Nice durable coating on the inner arches now, and that should protect the inner arches from any debris, any bits of tyre, etc. And round the other side, it has vastly improved how my welding job looks. Looks absolutely perfect underneath all that sealer and rubber guard. Yeah, this is all looking very cool. Now that rubber guard can be painted, body colour if you wanted to, but I'm not going to bother. Now I think in the clips earlier on in the video, you would have seen that I put another skim in this side on the quarter panel, but while it was getting dark, while I was around here that evening, I started rowing down this side, and it's clear that this side is going to need another skim as well. This filler work is literally never ending. I can feel that this area here is sort of lower than all the areas around it, and I can't take these areas down anymore because we've got sort of high spots like these. So yeah, it's going to need another massive skim with a thicker bit put in over here, and then hopefully that will be the last skim. But I'll crack on with that another time, because what I want to crack on with now is getting Heidi's wing and diffuser fitted, and that's going to involve me making a decision on exactly where I want to position them. I think I'm going to have the wing as far back as it will go, basically, in terms of the feet, and yeah, the diffuser, I'm just not sure how much to have it sticking out. So I might have to chuck a rear bumper on temporarily. All right, so I think I'm going to get the wing on first, and then I'll decide how far the diffuser is going to stick out based on how it looks with the wing fitted. Now, I've already made some marks on the masking tape on this boot lid. I've marked out the feet, essentially. And yeah, I haven't made sure that it's central when I did this. This was just me drawing like a footprint of the wing, and then I can take some measurements and then just get the box essentially of the footprint central, and then I know yeah, then eventually I can work out where to drill the holes. So yeah, let's get the tape measure out. I spent ages measuring and adjusting the marks that I'd already put on the boot lid, and then I measured the wing to work out where the bolts were in relation to the footprint. Then I thought I'd line the wing up one more time just to make sure I hadn't made any silly mistakes with my measuring, and then it was time for some carnage. If you're easily offended, please look away now. I drilled the holes in the boot lid for the rear 2 feet only, then I fitted the bolts into the rear 2 feet on the wing before getting the rear 2 feet bolted to the boot lid, which was really fiddly, but I managed to get it done. Out came the tape measure again to work out where the front 2 holes were going to need to be, and then once the wing was out of the way, I had another measure, and once I was happy, I drilled the other 2 holes in the boot lid just as it started raining, and eventually hailing as well. With Heidi in the garage out of the rain, I removed the feet from the brackets for the wing and decided to change the bolts in the rear two for shorter ones, which I hoped would make it easier for me to put the nuts on them. I then removed the masking tape from Heidi's boot lid and set about mounting the feet to the boot lid. The front two were obviously super easy to fit, but the rear ones were still really fiddly, even with the shorter bolts. Anyway, with the feet mounted, the wing was easily bolted to them, and voila, one Mark II Escort with a ridiculous wing that isn't attached this time with masking tape. Alright, well, the weather really can't make its mind up today. I keep pulling the car out of the garage and then it starts raining again. But I've got Heidi back in the garage and I've been trying to figure out how much I'm going to want this diffuser to stick out by. Now, you could, of course, just have it sunk in like this so that it's nice and flush with the rear panel. You know, definitely looks neater, but you know, I definitely want it to poke out. I want this thing to look crazy. So it's just, you know, do we have it ridiculously sticking out so it's past the bumper or in line with this bit of the bumper? I think that's probably a bit too silly. So yeah, I'm probably going to have it somewhere in between. So I'm going to scratch my head for a little bit longer and yeah, make my mind up. Alright, decision has been made and I've basically got it sticking out about as much as this bit of the bumper. So it's sort of flush with that. I'm probably 99.9% sure that this is going to grow. Once I figure out what I'm doing with the exhaust, I'm going to have the diffuser wider. But yeah, I think this is a good compromise. It's sticking out, so it looks ridiculous, but you know, it's not all the way out past the bumper. So yeah, I think that's where we're going to have it. So now I need to figure out where I'm going to be putting the bolts to bolt it to the floor. Now, we can't have any bolts further back from here because the floor kicks up, unless I was to sort of, you know, make up brackets or whatever. Definitely going to have some bolts, you know, at the very end this way, as much as possible. We've got the grommet holes in the floor just there, so, you know, the bolt will probably have to go here, so, you know, in each corner, and then maybe one in the middle, and I'm probably going to line this middle one up with this channel, and yeah, these ones are going to be on the channel as well because there is ultimately a gap in between there. So if you bolt it to the floor rather than the channel, you know, this is just going to be bending and stuff. Once the diffuser was marked and drilled, I put it back in place under the car and made sure that it was straight. Then I drilled the rear centre hole in the car and then just used a nut and bolt to attach the diffuser to the floor. Then, after another check for straightness, I just repeated the process for the other bolts, using 6 in total, and that was Heidi's diffuser fitted. Simple. Alright, back out in the sunshine again, and there we go. The diffuser is fitted. Definitely think that this thing needs to go wider, but we'll get to that in due course. This will of course need to come off to get the body shell painted, as will the spoiler, and yeah, really need to get that spoiler tilted forward a bit, but you know, I can see that that won't be too difficult at all. But yeah, this thing is starting to look as crazy as I imagined. We won't know what the final look will be until we've got the rear end lowered and we've got the wide arches on. But yeah, hopefully in the next video I will be able to sort the wide arches out. And let's just say we're going a little bit wider than I first intended, but you'll be able to see that in the next video. But yeah, really glad that the inner tubs and stuff are now completely finished. You know, got that rust welded up in the corner, got the inner tubs coated with the rubber guard, so yeah, just need to get the arches fitted onto the outside. Now, moving further forward, as soon as I get some of these interior parts sold, then I will be stripping this interior back out again, and the first thing on the agenda is going to be to fit a larger gearbox tunnel, which gives me an opportunity to wave my MIG welder at Heidi yet again. But yeah, this project, there's still a load to do. especially now that I've gone a completely different direction. But do you know what? I'm so much more excited about this project than I was before. So yeah, I think building this into a bit of a crazy daily / drift car, just like Maud was years ago, but better, is the right decision for me. Anyway, I'm going to end this video here. Massive thanks as always to everyone who's tuned in. Do give the video a thumbs up if you thought it was any good. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. It's absolutely fine. Click subscribe if you're new to keep up to date with all future uploads. Check the links in the description to follow me on Facebook, TikTok and Instagram. I'll leave my email address down there for anyone who wants to contact me, and I'll leave a link to my own website and the Petrolhead Style website. Definitely go and check both of those out. Massive thanks as always to my patrons for your ongoing support. But other than that, until next time, thanks for watching.